And oh yeah, once again, of course, oh, there we go. We got the editor and layout, and everything is sorted out. Good morning, everybody, and an amazing and positive morning to all of you. Welcome to the best morning of your entire day, I promise. As I was mentioning to on Locals, I just started. It's been a little while since I've done this. I'm trying to get back into the groove. But this is the Freedom Coffee live stream, where we celebrate the freedoms that we have, we celebrate the freedoms that we fought for, and we look to expand their freedoms in the future. And how do we do that? We do that with a cup of coffee, because you can't fight for freedom if you're in a state of anxiety. So I hope you're all well. It is 1,000 degrees here, and it's quite warm. It's been very warm in Toronto lately. So a lot has been going on since I've been the last time I've streamed. I'm going to go over a few of those things and get caught up and get back into the groove, because there's so much more going on. Taking a couple of months off from speaking and speeches and book signings and stuff like that. Just did a couple just to get back into the groove here and with the rest of my life. Good morning, Megan. And it's been absolutely crazy. It's really, sat back and thought a couple of days ago, it's really kind of wild, the run that's been for the past couple of years, and how things have changed, and how we've all found each other, and all the friendships that have been formed, not just in Canada, but in the United States as well. Hi, Sonia. It has been a while, Sonia, but I think I'll be back into the groove now that a whole bunch of big things are behind me, and I've spent quite a lot of time dealing with my day-to-day life stuff that we all have to deal with, that I've had to put a lot of things on hold, and needed some time to catch up. And it's been a little bit crazy. So there were a couple of Bitcoin conferences. One was you're streaming under 145 now. You know what? Yeah, I'll fix it later. Yeah, thanks, Megan. It's something with this encoder. You make the change, you save it. It doesn't save the change, and I got to go back and do it. That's been like that's been the biggest problem with all of this. I'm trying to make things as streamlined as possible, reliable as possible. Sit down, press record, and then you just start. And every piece of software I found has been buggy. And credit to I'm No DJ Productions, who told me all these encoders, they're how was it described? They're kind of a waste, because they're never reliable. So I'm still trying to figure that out right now. I will sort it out in the next little bit, and I'm going to decide if I'm going to. I'm considering just doing exclusively Rumble and Locals, and abandoning Facebook, which we'll talk about in a second, because Facebook is, I think, kind of a ghost town. And YouTube keeps insisting on shooting themselves in the foot, but I don't know, we'll see. So the Bitcoin conference was in Toronto, and it was, I don't know, for myself and for everybody there, I think it was a great success. Sold out of my books in like 45 minutes. And shout out and thank you to everybody who came and bought a book and wanted a picture and did a signing with me. It had as much of an impact on my life as it did yours. And you know what was most amazing about that? It was amazing the people who came up to me, told me a little bit of their story and their involvement or support of the Freedom Convoy. And like 4 people started to tear up. That's how emotionally moved they were by the experience. It was really kind of nice, and it was really good to connect with a lot of you, those of you who came there, and I look forward to doing that again. So after the week after the Toronto Bitcoin Conference, or the Canadian Bitcoin Conference, and by the way, there is one happening right now at the Stampede, So a week after that was the Boston, the Bitcoin Freedom Festival in Boston, run by Mass Adoption, which is a group of really good people that they've done like 14 meetups already, and they're just growing. Every meetup, they're getting more and more people together from all walks of life. At the meetup I was at, the night before the festival, they had somebody by the name of Jason Mayer. Jason Mayer is on the other side, I guess you'd say, of politics. He's written a book called The Progressive Case for Bitcoin. And, not my politics, but we need to help people who want to help others understand the importance of freedom and having free money that is not controlled, in our case, by Prime Minister Blackface. Jesse, why is it being streamed under 145? I just explained it. Because the encoder, you set it up, you save it, and then when you go to stream again, it doesn't update, and it's just the software's unreliable. And but this is the most reliable one that I've had. I'll go back and I'll fix it posthumously. I'm assuming I don't die. I will. It's the episode number, Sonia. I will fix it. I'll fix it after. I promise. I promise I will fix it after. Anyways, so the Boston Bitcoin Freedom Festival was an amazing experience. There was a lot of rain, and any sort of outdoor activity, when it rains, it definitely affects it. But even still, I think we had an appropriate number of people. It was great. We got a lot of time with some of the keynote people that were speaking there. I was on stage for a little bit, as well as a number of other people. What was interesting is two people came down with me. One was Bridget Belton, and the other is Chabavizi. And anybody who was watching the Convoy or read my book would know exactly who those two people are. Jesse, what do you mean it's not working on Rumble? Okay, so you know what I'm going to have to do? We're going to have to talk in the Discord. I'm going to have to make some sort of executive decision here. I can't keep going through this every time, because to use the encoder and set it all up, it takes me like 20 minutes just to set it all up, and the stream keys and this and that, and it seems no matter what I do, it always fails. So do I just stick with locals and make locals the exclusive place to do this, and send a login to everybody who's in the Discord to watch in locals? I don't know, but we'll talk about it in Discord, because I can't keep going on with spending 25 minutes, 30 minutes setting this all up, and then it fails every time. Let me check. Let me go over to I think I have Rumble open here, so let's this is very exciting audio content, by the way. Let me see. Yeah, you're right, Jesse, it's not working again. Oh well. Oh no, it's working. Jesse, you lied to me. I'm watching myself on Rumble. It's working fine. I'm watching on YouTube when it doesn't work. Here, I'm looking at it right now. I could screen here. Listen to this. This is Rumble, and then it fails every time. Let me check. Let me see. All right. Anyways, whatever. We'll do tech support another time. But I love you, and hello, Rocky. Anyways, so Bitcoin Freedom Festival in Boston was amazing. Great people. They have a Twitter account called @MassAdoption. And I suggest, if you can, give them a follow. They do have some great talks. If you're from Boston, go see them. I'm there periodically. And there's a chance I might be going down to South Carolina for something similar in the near future. So, there you go. What else has been going on? By the way, this is very impromptu. I have to go pick up my truck from service. I can't be all that long, but I wanted to get back into the groove and talking to all of you. And he yelled, "Hi, Rocky," back. Okay, Rocky is the bird, just so everybody knows. So a lot of things have been going on. One of the things we see is, for those of you who are on Twitter or follow me on Twitter, or we follow each other. Meta, formerly Facebook, is launching Threads, which is a Twitter competitor. Although the Twitter competitor, run by Facebook, wants all of your data. I don't know, I think they want a retina scan as well, and your birth date, and your SIN number, social security number, whatever, all that sort of stuff. Like, it's really quite extreme, the level of information that they tell you they're going to be collecting on you to use their service. So I think that might be a good stock to short. I'm not sure. And you know what else occurred to me? So you have Mark Zuckerberg, who runs Facebook. Facebook is a ghost town. I've been since 2017. There's a few people who still remain on there. I know there's dedicated people who keep using it. That's the only reason I still post to it. And but that's a very small percentage. Its conversion capabilities were just decimated 5 years ago. So it's really not an effective platform at this time. So you have Facebook, and has kind of failed. They went to do this metaverse thing, which has failed. This was Mark Zuckerberg's idea. This brilliant metaverse failed. Zuckerberg bought Instagram, and Instagram has gone nowhere since he bought it. It's just stagnant, right? And then now he's doing Meta, which is a copy of Twitter, and on the auspice that there's no privacy. I think we can learn two things. First thing, I think Mark Zuckerberg should probably be getting the message at this point. People want their privacy, whether he understands it or not. People want their privacy. But the other thing is, maybe the Winklevosses actually really did come up with the idea of Facebook, and Zuckerberg stole it, because every other idea Zuckerberg has had has failed miserably and is tanking the company. So I don't know. Anyways. What else has been going on? We have diversity is burning France. I'm sure you've seen the videos. So good luck for France. You've earned it. And I love the video of, I'm sure you've all seen it. They ransacked a Volkswagen dealership, and all these brand new Volkswagens are being driven off the lot. And the first thing that occurred to me is, well, there's a fleet of Volkswagens on their way to Algeria or Albania or whatever, because that's what they do with that sort of stuff. If you've, there was a little while I worked in the car business, that you understand all those cars, they're just thrown on a container and exported. I actually posted something about it and a clip from Top Gear when they were in Albania, and they were counting all the Mercedes in the neighborhood in Albania, of all places, and statistically 80% of Mercedes registered in Albania are stolen. So that's so congratulations to whatever country is going to be receiving a fleet of brand new Volkswagens, I'm sure at the liquidation price. So congratulations, France, and diversity. Kimmy doesn't go to Ottawa. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you, BJ. It's good to see you too. So that's France. If you're in Canada, and if you're in the Big Smoke, otherwise known as Toronto, Toronto has elected Chow Chow. So Toronto as well will start to burn soon. So very excited to see Toronto turn into 1970s New York. And you know what's interesting? Is this a little harsh? I'm not a fan of graffiti. Okay, for me, graffiti is Welcome Back Kotter, Night Court, Rundown City, an S-hole city. That's what graffiti reminds me of. But the leftoids and the communists love graffiti. I guess because it's a sign of the destruction of a society. I have never seen so much graffiti in Toronto. Now, I haven't been on the subway, but I'm told we haven't gotten to the point where there's graffiti on the subway And but I'm sure that's coming soon. If any of you ever see that, let me know. I'm curious to know, when do we get to see the graffiti on the inside of the subway car, right? That's usually a good sign of things. So Chow Chow is going to, I'm assuming they're going to try to bury the gardener or toll the gardener and the DVP. Those are the two main highways. Do like what they do in England with a congestion charge to enter the city of like $25 or something. I don't know if I'll be staying in the city. That will be just kind of probably the final step for me to get out of here. And so to everybody, to all the communists who've elected Olivia Chow, congratulations. Your house may too burn. I guess that's the only way to describe it. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. Did you see the fuel truck, tanker truck being stolen? No. What? They stole a fuel tanker truck in France? Oh, wow. You gotta laugh, right? You can't. Unfortunately, it goes back to that that Buddhist proverb that I've talked about on here that I love, that I live my life by, which is true suffering is the attempt to control the uncontrollable. And you can't control people's stupidity. You can't control the stupidity of what people in Toronto have just done by once again shooting themselves in the foot. Okay, you want to live in an S-hole, you're going to get it. Okay, great. It'll be a slow decline, like always. It'll take quite a lot of time. We're still in the midst of a generational decline, but whatever. That's what they want. They want their kids to suffer. They want the city to crumble, the economy to crumble. Okay, well, all the power to you. Some of us have lived in the third world, so we know how to navigate that. We're used to it, and we know, there's certain rules that you have to live by. They don't get it, and whatever. Sonia says selected, not elected. It's interesting you actually say that, Sonia, because I put up. Let me see if I can find this. I put up this little poll yesterday on Twitter, and thank you for everybody who engaged with it. I asked a very important question, and it's going to be relevant to some stuff I'm going to talk about later on. But my question was this on Twitter. Who are the gatekeepers? The media, the elected politicians, the government bureaucracy, which is what some people call the deep state, or wealthy political donors? And then I put a little asterisk because I get this all the time. I put, no, I'm not putting all of the above. Take a chance, pick one. Everybody wants to do that. Oh, all the above. No, I want people to force themselves to think. We need to get away from just, making things easy all the time. And so right now in the lead, the bureaucrats, the deep state, is at 41%, followed by wealthy political donors at 33%. We're going to talk more and more about that because I know how it works, because I've seen it behind the scenes on the inside from different perspectives. And but we'll get into that more and more over time. But if you haven't seen it, go post your perspective, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. The other thing is I'm going to do a stream on Saturday at 10 o'clock. I'll try to get back into my usual groove so we can all start to share all our stuff. Jesse voted the media. I love you, Jesse. You're awesome. So did Sonia. You're great. Selected, not elected. Sonia says it was hard to answer. Yeah, that's the whole point. It is, right? So I've been getting a lot of questions about Jordan Peterson's interview with Tamara Leach, and I'm going to talk about that. That's going to be the topic of my next stream on Saturday, so we'll talk about that a little more. So if you have any questions, let me know, prepare it for then, because I do have some opinions, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on the weekend. Anyways, so the last thing is we look at all these things. Oh, and one more other thing. Fake news alert. I love this. This is great. Sky News, I think in England, I don't think it was Australia, they did one of their fake news reports. Remember this guy, Andrew Tate, who was now arrested and detained? And Andrew Tate. The Sky News report If I ever get this encoder working, I'd be able to share it. But the Sky News report said, I'm going to quote this, as accurate as I can. But what they said was Andrew Tate had, lots of wealth, cars, lots of expensive exotic cars and properties, and he even had more than 21 million. He's reported, what they said, he's reported to have more than 21 million Bitcoin. Okay, so that shows the degree of fake news and laziness, which is what I was told many years ago by a mainstream journalist, how lazy they are in journalism. Why is that an indicator of it? Because the Bitcoin protocol only has 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. It's minted like dollars are, but there's a cap. And the cap is 21 million. And so far, something like 19.5 million have been minted so far, or what we call mined. Yet here comes Sky News saying Andrew Tate himself has more than the mathematically possible 21 million cap of Bitcoin. And if you've ever managed staff before, you know how this sort of thing transpires when you give staff an assignment or ask them to do a report on something or whenever they bring you back. You can tell where they cut corners and where they get sloppy. You just get used to it. You get an eye for it. And this is a perfect example, because what did they typed in Bitcoin? They typed in 21 million, not researching it enough to understand that's a supply cap. They just 21, and they, when you look at Twitter, you see all these Bitcoiners, 21 million, 21 million. Then they see Andrew Tate's name. He's got Bitcoin. Oh, it's got to be his 21 million. Okay, let's just run with it. That's how media works. That's why it's so fake. And there are some other examples this week that were hysterical. That just kind of proved my point yet again as to why I froze them out and banned them from our Freedom Convoy press conferences. But anyways, so all of this to say what? What is the important part here? What's the important lesson in all of this? I want to bring it back to positivity, right? The whole positive framing. Hey, Amanda. Amanda is here. How you doing, babe? I haven't seen Amanda forever. Amanda's here in Locals. By the way, if you do follow on Locals, you can also post images and memes and not just text. Whereas on the other platforms, all you have is text. Good morning, Lisa. Sorry, Lisa. Lisa is not here. So all of this stuff, the burning of France, the burning of Toronto, Olivia Chow, all the nonsense that we see, what's going on politically, the Trump stuff, which we'll talk about sometime in the near future, the Trump charges. Trump is on trumped-up charges. There you go. There's more proof it's a simulation, right? But anyways, all of this is to say, does any of this affect our state of positivity and our positive framing? No, I don't think so. And this is why, during the Freedom Convoy, it was easy for myself and to help others just focus on that positive framing, because this is all noise, right? It's noise that we sometimes get sucked into the debate, and we see it online all the time. Somebody posts something, or you post something, somebody argues back, and then you get sucked into the negative space of fighting back and forth. We all do it a little bit here and there, but we don't have to live our life that way, right? And we can also limit that. And I think despite all of this stuff, it's easy to maintain. Well, it's easy. I shouldn't say. It's a skill to develop, to maintain that positive frame. And that's why I mentioned that Buddhist proverb earlier, true suffering is the attempt to control the uncontrollable. Because you can't control how stupid people vote. You just really can't. You can maybe persuade over time, which is part of what this is about. You can't fix stupid. You can't fix the stupidity in France, right? People who have voted against their interests and have voted for the destruction of their country and their civilization. Will they fix it? Maybe. I think all these things are generational changes, and that's also a reason why it's so easy when you develop the skill to maintain positivity, because the day-to-day stuff, like that really makes me crazy. Mark Petroni and I talk about that on his show when I go in to talk about Bitcoin, because he comes from the old school financial media world where it's, okay, what's the stock market doing today? You know, every day the stock market's crashing or the economy's recovering, or the economy's crashing. The next day the economy's recovering. It's like a yo-yo. It makes me crazy. Like my whole life I always thought, okay, well, this is all just fake. This is just, you know, persuading people to buy, sell, or have a perspective on the market. Whereas something like Bitcoin is more long-term, right? And when you start to think long-term and you start to think generationally, then the little bit of noise that happens day to day doesn't bother you. It doesn't really get to you because, it's kind of more of the same. People doing stupid things, deceptive people lying to people, certain proxy organizations who shall remain nameless for now, manipulate all of you for donation monies, to pump you for as much money as possible and to distract from other people that were involved in the Freedom Convoy. Okay, you can't fix that, especially day to day. Over the long term, yeah, maybe you can. And maybe that's how France will fix itself over the long term. But the way to not fix it is to get emotionally invested in the negativity and allow it to drain you. Because you can't engage in any sort of pushback, protest, demonstration, a political strategy. You can't do that when you're in a state of anxiety. Anxiety is a very crippling state. And I'm lucky that I don't really ever suffer from anxiety, but I do have friends who suffer massively. One friend who no longer drives because he gets panic attacks due to anxiety when he drives his car. So it's a very crippling state, and that's one of the things that we were dealing with in Ottawa. And, you know, I kept having people come into my room, and Tamara would come into my room regularly, at least once a day, until there was a little while she was, I couldn't find her for like a week. But all the other times she would come in and she, come, give a hug, and, oh, I'm so stressed and whatever. And, trying to bring people back to that state of positivity, right? I think a lot of stress and anxiety is often self-induced. I think it's that's why I invest so heavily in organizational processes. And, as much as you invest in these organizational processes, doesn't mean I get everything done. And you know what? There's many days I get maybe 50% of the things I want to get done. Okay, fine. So you know what? The world will continue. We'll figure it out tomorrow. I'll continue. I'll defer to somebody else or another date or whatever. And that's it. And that's a skill that I was lucky enough, for whatever reason, I started focusing on decades ago. And when I was working for a company, one of the earlier jobs I ever had, for whatever reason, I just slipped into it, and it really helped me, right? Jesse, oh my God, I have crippling anxiety. Do you? Well, maybe that's something we can work on here. Maybe this is a space that we can work together to deal with anxiety and focus on positivity. That's why I keep talking about the 5-minute journal, which I use less and less lately, but I probably should use it more. There are times where you get a little stressed. And for me, when I do those resets, days that I do those positivity resets, I realize I'm less susceptible to going down the emotional negativity rabbit hole. And I don't really get sucked into it all that much, but, we're all susceptible to it. But Jesse, if we can help you, you have a lot of people here within this space, on this stream, in the Discord, who are all here to help you. Lisa says, I have anxiety, not crippling, but it's there often. Julie says, my anxiety has been crippling, can't drive, horrible, really trying to get out of the minds. I can't, there's some blocking it on the screen here. Can't get out of my mind, I think is what it says. I have a little icon that's blocking it on this encoder. Anyways, yeah, I learned a long time ago that people who suffer from depression, and this is not in stone, but it's a good framing for me to understand stuff. That people who suffer from depression are living in the past. People who suffer from anxiety are living in the future and anticipation for the future. And that's why the state of positivity is slowing down, remaining where you are right now, living present and in the moment, and not allowing the noise of the future and future obligations to get inside your head, because it can be quite crippling. And the way, I mean, I never really suffered it all that much, but the first time I did GTD was the first real structure that I utilized for organization and to-do lists and, calendars and all that sort of stuff. And I recommend everybody to start with something like that and then just modify it for themselves, understand how you behave, and then make a system that works for you. But I've helped a lot of friends with it, and a friend of mine who came here from Colombia, I remember he's going through a lot of really difficult time with his girlfriend at that time. It's pretty serious stuff they were dealing with. So he came here, and he too, crippling anxiety. So I sat him down, and voice raised, and hey, BJ, finally catching you live. Oh, cool, thanks. So I sat him down, and I said, we talked for like an hour, and he told me everything that was going on with his life. And I said, okay, well, why don't we do this? Why don't you try to adopt some of the systems that I've done, and let's see if that helps you. Because for me, it helped massively. And what we did is I sat him down in front of my computer. I set him up at that point with, it was Toodle-Do. Toodle-Do was the to-do application, website, whatever. I said, what I want you to do is a purge. And sit down and purge everything that's in your head. Everything you need to do. It doesn't matter if it's, buying groceries, or dealing with a mortgage, or dealing with medical issues of family. Doesn't matter what it is. Everything that is in your head right now, I want you to put it on a list. We're gonna put it in your in basket. So I set up the infrastructure for him, and it was very funny. Everybody does this. I did this too. He comes. It was in my old business in the back office where I set him up, and he sat down for like 20 minutes. I was working with clients and whatever, and when I finally had a break, I came back. He's like, "Okay, I'm done," and I'm like, "You're not done. What are you talking about?" He said, "No, look, I got." And I looked at his list. He had 20 things, and I said, "Mate, most people have at minimum 75 things immediately in their lives that they need to deal with. 20 things doesn't cut it. There's more. Just sit down and force yourself to get it out of your head." And he did it. And then he said to me, he came out to see me, maybe got to around 50. He's like, "Mate," he's British. He said, "Mate," said, "Wow, you're so right. I feel like I'm getting a weight lifted off my shoulders." And I'm like, yeah, just continue. Because the human mind can only simultaneously track somewhere between 4 to 7 things simultaneously. That's why sometimes when you leave the house, you forget your keys. And I put my keys always in the same spot. Because if you don't do that, when you're leaving the house, depending on the day, sometimes you have a whole barrage of things that you're trying to remember all at once before you leave the house. Oh, I want to get coffee. Oh, I got to remember to put this in my car. Did I remember to take down the telephone number for the person I got to call later on, and whatever. And very quickly, you're beyond the capability of things you can simultaneously track. Yet you have these 75 other things that are in the back of your head that you need to keep track of. That's where anxiety comes from for a lot of people. And once I got him on somewhat of a system, it seemed to really make a difference for him. And now his life was quite difficult at that time. He was going through some tough times. And now he's the marketing director for a startup down south, and he's so prudent with his to-do lists and his organizational structure, and he manages a team of staff and does it all utilizing that sort of So that sort of process. He's found a way. He's found a system that he's developed for himself based on that, and that works. Jesse says mine is PTSD. Yeah, I know. I've actually helped somebody with that, and that's particularly difficult. And I get that. That just means it requires way more work, and it's almost like, I've told you the creativity exercise that I do. This is the organizational muscle in your brain, the deference muscle in your brain, and I'm not good at it. Naturally, I'm not like this. That's why you have to work on it and use it regularly. It's like going to the gym, but it's a mental exercise. And that's also why, again, I keep going back to the Convoy, because that was a particularly stressful time where we were dealing with a bunch of people and a bunch of problems and a bunch of people that were, sabotaging and other issues, and everybody was freaking out. But I kept my life on my own personal organizational process in my OmniFocus, and that's why I wasn't really stressed out. And also when in that case, when you mark things down, it becomes very easy to anticipate what the response is going to be from other people. So whatever. Voice of Reason perfectly said about living in the past and the future. Hey man, what's up? I'll call you a little bit later on, by the way, if you're available. But so I would encourage, the first step, for those of you who are suffering from any sort of anxiety, try to slow down and just focus on the moment. And it is really difficult if you've not done that, and if you've not exercised that part of your brain to make that a habitual thing. But you can do it. It just takes time, right? I posted vids on Discord of Rocky talking back to them. All right, so what I'll try to do, well, maybe I'll throw those on Twitter. I'm gonna have to run in a minute because I'm gonna be late. I gotta go pick up my truck, and then I gotta get my ass down to where am I going today? I'm going to Pennsylvania. Philadelphia. So I got to get my ass down to Philadelphia. I use my brain regularly. Now you're asking for miracles. Jesse, you are amazing and you are wonderful. And I can't thank you enough for all your feedback. I mean, all of you, Lisa, Sonia, Megan, everybody else. But Jesse in particular, you do give a lot of feedback, positive feedback. And questions, you've certain things you didn't understand. Yeah, you tell me, I don't understand this. This doesn't make sense, and I tell you, and you're really, you kind of push me a little bit, and I really do appreciate that. I really do. I can't thank you enough for all of that. I'm really grateful for it. Julie, have a great day. You all have an amazing day. Amanda is just working away, and Amanda, everything's awesome with me and you too. It is the summertime, Amanda, so we need to get together. I've just, of all the little things I've been doing, getting my life together, part of it was getting my car sorted. I'm a car person. I like to work on my car. And so I'm ready to start doing track days, and I'm also ready to do some semi-long distance trip for a car, not for a truck. So you let me know when. I will figure out a time, and I'll come up to see you guys. And because remember, you're only a couple hours away, and I promised we would get together. And if I do that, if anybody is in the neighborhood, maybe we'll all get together and do something on a weekend night or something like that. Jesse says that's why I'm single, Lisa. Anyways, we'll deal with that too. Do you want to talk about relationships and stuff? Like, I don't know if this is really the forum. The other things I wanted to talk about, in addition, because this is tangential to positivity, is health and fitness. And I've had somebody helping me get back onto a reasonable and healthy diet, as opposed to, when the disease of busyness in life, what does that equal? That equals going to get takeout food all the time. And I've been forced to go in the opposite direction. I'm very grateful for that. So we can talk about that stuff and health and fitness as it relates to positivity. This is all related, and we'll still focus on the core issues, which are a little bit of politics, what's going on, how we're going to fix things over the long term, and how we're going to reach people who are still trapped in an ideological bubble and suffering from narrative poisoning. And that's probably what I'll touch on when I talk about Jordan Peterson and Tamara. I feel like I have to because I'm getting so many questions about it, and if you've noticed, I just don't want to talk about something and I don't want to say anything negative. There are certain things I just don't get into it. So we'll keep it positive, but I'll answer some of your questions. And that'll be on Saturday morning at, I think, 10 o'clock. All right. Rocky wants to know when you are swinging by. Sometime in, I don't know, I got another week or so of week and a half of I got to do some heavy driving. And then I can start blocking up some time, some dates and stuff. So we'll figure something out. Actually, Tom mentioned that to me as well, Jesse, that maybe we should all get together too. What's takeout? I cook for the person. All right. True about graffiti in Toronto. Well, I'm glad somebody else has noticed it. Yeah, on the DVP, like on the Don Valley Parkway, there's graffiti all over the place. I'm like, oh yeah, they're turning the city into a shithole. No, what are you going to do? We'll get through it, and we won't let it bother us. That'll be the noise. And if people can live in some of the most dangerous countries in the world, then and still live a positive life, we can do the same. Lisa, when are you coming to BC? I don't know. I got to talk to Bitcoin Cowboy, who's in Montana. We want to do something out there. And I figured if I'm going to go to Montana, I would do BC at the same time. Maybe I'd fly to Montana and then fly to BC, unless I can get loads to both places, which would be great. But I will look into it. I'm going to try to package them as one trip because I want to go see Julian. And by the way, if you haven't seen Julian's video, he's the one who came in the truck with me and spent 48 hours together trucking. The name of his YouTube channel is Kinetic Finance. I will post the link again. I'm going to include that in my next Substack that I'm working on, and that'll be out sometime soon as well. All right. I love you all. You're all amazing. I hope that little, diatribe on positivity wasn't too much. I hope it helps, and if you want to talk more about it, we will, because I love talking about this stuff, and I love doing my best to try to help you. All right. So go have an awesome day. Hit it at work or at home or whatever you're doing. Just focus on positivity, and the best way to do that is be good to everybody you talk to. Strangers, your birds, your cats and your dogs. Be as loving as possible, and